everyone, and welcome back. This is Mindy Eggen for Tailored Expressions, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how I used the new Misti accessories tools in my cards today, and also give you a few varieties using this one background stamp. First, we're going to take a look at some of the supplies I'll be using, starting with this Create in Color background stamp and coordinating die. I will be using sentiments off of the Full Circle School stamp set, and also this large thank you and the coordinating die to that. I have the Press It tool and the Misti grid paper. I have a bone folder, my tweezers. I have this pokey tool. I have my Scotch tape to hold my dies down, my tape runner to adhere my projects. For ink, I'll be using Sugar Cube ink and also Oreo ink. I have the Barely Art Precision Glue because I love that tip on there. I have some white embossing powder and also my anti-static powder. And then a couple other tools I'll be using is my Misti 2.0 and a scoreboard. I'm also going to be using Oreo cardstock and Sugar Cube cardstock. And I'll be doing my coloring today using Copic markers, but you can use whatever coloring medium that you are comfortable with. Now, before I get started on my card project, I wanted to show you these vinyl stickers that I really love. These are for your bar magnet that you may have in your Misti tool. I typically would cover mine with washi, which ends up ripping. But these new stickers, these vinyl stickers from Tailored Expressions, are really cute designs on them and colors. And there's a little white strip you can see kind of in the middle of them that is going to fit right at the side of your Misti. So it was designed to line up that way. So when you fold it over like you would your washi tape, it's going to be even on the end. So I just peel back that release paper, line up that white bar right in the middle, and I'm going to wrap this around my bar magnet, making sure that the top is lined up, and then I can just press that together. So now I can easily pick up my bar magnet and I'm not worried about ripping any washi tape, and I can save the washi tape for my other projects. Next, we have this Misti grid paper, and I am loving this, and this is going to be great for background stamping, which I'll show you in just a moment. This has multiple sizes on it. My favorite is the A2 because that's what I typically use, and this can be in portrait or landscape orientation. Another great thing about it is it's double-sided, so if one side is really stamped up, you can flip it over and use the other side. Now, I place this in the bottom of my Misti tool because this is a foam rubber stamp, so I just removed the foam insert of my Misti. And now notice I am lining my stamp up with the A2 size grid lines on that Misti grid paper. So instead of me putting my cardstock on my stamp and then flipping my Misti over like I normally would, I am lining my stamp exactly where I'm going to put my cardstock. So I find this super helpful. Once I picked up the background stamp with the door of the Misti, I put some repositionable tape on the paper, secured that to the grid paper that is in my Misti, and then I can go ahead and ink this image up with Oreo ink. Then when I close the door of the Misti, I am going to use my Press It tool to just apply even pressure across. Normally I would slide my hand across or really push down. This one just allows me to put even pressure across it. I'm not giving it CPR, just a gentle glide across. And you can see it has a felt bottom on it, which makes it really easy to glide across the cover of your Misti. Now, if you have real intricate background stamps or some with a lot of solid area, you may need to still kind of give those special areas a little extra push, but I still find that Press It tool really helpful. Now, since I have my stamp lined up and my Misti all lined up, I'm going to go ahead and stamp two more backgrounds using this Create in Color stamp and die combo. Now I'm going to start coloring in my image. So you can use whatever coloring medium that you are most comfortable with. I prefer to use my Copics, and a real easy way to color in this image quickly is I'm starting with just two colors out of each family. So I'm going to go in rainbow order. I had an R35 and an R39, and I'm just putting down that lightest color first, coloring in the entire pencil. And then I'm just taking that darker color and I'm just adding a line to the bottom. I'm not doing any blending with it or 3-color mix. It's just a really quick and easy way to kind of add a little bit of dimension, but not putting a ton of time in it because there are so many on here to color. Now, this is something that's really great if you stamp a bunch of them and maybe you have to go to baseball games or volleyball games or just sitting in front of the TV. This is just a really great way to kind of fill in some time and do something with your hands. Now I am going in rainbow order, and I'm going to just repeat this once I get to purple. I'm going to repeat all of these colors, and I will do that off screen just to save a little time. And I'm going to show you how I colored the rest of the pencils, and later on you'll see some variations that I did to these pencils. Now immediately I thought of just regular pencils, so I added a couple light colors. I noticed while coloring that some of my markers needed to be refilled, so I did have to change up my colors a little bit. But notice I'm just putting down that lightest color and then adding a line for the dark color. And same thing with the very tip of the pencils. Now, I immediately went to just regular pencils. These have colored barrels, but later on you're going to see some of them I did the tips in the actual color of the barrel of the pencil, and some of them I colored all in yellow, which I thought was really cool. It was very school time-ish, school feeling, school starting up for us soon. So this was a great time for me to start making some welcome back or thank you cards for the teachers. Now that I have my 3 backgrounds, I'm going to take the coordinating die, hold them in place with that Scotch tape, and run these through the die cut machine. So I have all 3 of these die cut and ready to adhere to my card. Now I thought this would be a really cool way to add something different to my card. So I'm going to actually make that the flap of my card. I'm taking a piece of sugar cube cardstock that is 5.5 by 8.5. I scored it at 4 1/4, and now I'm going to trim off a piece of the front of my card. Now I didn't measure this precisely, but I'm leaving about an inch maybe from the scored line. And I'll show you here in just a moment how this is all going to come together. So I'm reinforcing that fold, and I did that for 3 card bases all together. Now I'm going to take those pencil backgrounds and I'm going to add this to that flap. So that way there's a little bit of the edge of the card kind of hanging out. It's just kind of a fun way to have a card or open a card. I just added tape runner to the front of that flap and added my colored pencils on top. Then I'm going to take it over to my paper trimmer, and I had just a little bit of excess white hanging there. And now this is how my card is going to open. Now when you open this up, you can see that little flap, but if you wanted to have more of a finished look, I just took another piece of 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch piece of sugar cube cardstock and used that frame cut and just die cut it out, no stamping. And then I trimmed a little bit off, and it's going to fit right over the top of my pencils. So that kind of has more of a finished look to the inside of the card if you prefer that. One I did finish, the other 2 I did leave with just that flap showing. Now really quick here, I'm just going to show you one of the stamp sets that I used for the front of my card. This is the Oh My Word Thank You that I'm stamping on sugar cube cardstock with Oreo ink. I originally thought I was going to put thank you on the front of all of them, but when I had lined this up on the front of the colored cards, I didn't think it stood out as well. So I'm only going to put it on one. I did die cut it out with the coordinating die, and I also cut 2 more layers of it from white cardstock because I will be attaching those all together to add a little dimension to the sentiment. So for my other 2 cards here with the colored pencils on it, I have some sentiments that I stamped in sugar cube ink, heat embossed with white embossing powder on Oreo cardstock, and just trimmed down to a thin strip and added to the front of the card. Here is that layered thank you that I have that I'm going to put on top of the yellow pencils that I thought just looked really, really good. And I really do love all of those yellow pencils. Now inside of the cards, I had some rolled up tape just to keep it closed while I lined up my sentiments. So here's a quick look at all of the cards. You can see it just kind of has that neat, I don't know if you want to say interactive, but just a different way to open your card, having those edges like that or that border like that. And something fun that I'm ready to give the teachers this year. I hope you found this helpful and inspirational, and be sure to check out the new Misti accessories over at tailoredexpressions.com. I know they are going to be a must-have tool in my craft room and a staple when stamping. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you again soon.